So we're going to continue the review. We're going to first find the distance between these 2 points here. We could sketch these out using some technology here to give us a visual of it. But what we want to do is still use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I like to treat my a as my x and my b as my y. So very informally, here's my triangle. And here's my B, here's my A and B and C. And we have the point 5, 3 down here. And then up here in the upper right, we're going to have 14, 17. Now, it doesn't matter which way we do this, though. So when we do find the difference between the x values, I underlined it. So that's going to be 14 minus 5, which is 9. Or you could do 5 minus 14, which is negative 9, but it won't matter because when we square it, we're not going to have a negative number, which is nice. So you can't really mess this part up. The next one for the y is 3 and 17. So 17 minus 3 is 14. If we put this in there, we get 9 squared plus 14 squared equals c squared. Get out our calculator. 9 squared is 81. 14 squared is 196. And remember that we can't do 9 squared plus 14 squared and make it 23 squared. It won't work like that. We have to use the order of operations. So we square the numbers first. 81 plus 196 is 277. The opposite or inverse of squaring a number is the square root. So we take the square root of both sides. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. So the calculator tells me that C is going to be 16.64. So rounding that to the nearest tenth is going to be 16.6. So go ahead and pause it if you need more time. Same idea here. We're going to have the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're trying to find the distance between those 2 points. So my x is going to be the differences in the x values. We'll probably make that my a. So I'm going to have 5 minus a negative 2. So be careful when we have 2 negatives next to each other. It really means plus. So 5 plus 2 is 7. So we put 7 in here. Then I'm going to switch colors to do the y values, the difference between the y values, negative 10 and the negative 6. So y equals negative 10 minus a negative 6. Again, 2 negatives next to each other means we're going to add them. So negative 10 plus 6, be careful with the calculator. It's really going to be a negative 4. But again, when we square the answers, each number, we're going to come up with a positive value. So 7 squared, 7 times 7 is 49. And it's really bad writing there. Negative 4 squared, negative 4 times the negative 4 is a positive 16. We're going to add these two numbers up. 49 plus 16 is 65. And the opposite or inverse of square number is the square root. So that's going to give us about 8.062. And since we are rounded to the nearest tenth, that's going to be 8.1. So go ahead and pause it if you need more time. So straight lines make up 180 degrees. Here's a 90-degree angle. It's like a capital L. So anything that looks bigger than this is going to be obviously bigger. We're not trying to trick you at this level. So angle A is clearly bigger than 90 degrees. So we're going to put the 125 there. So any angle that looks bigger than 90 degrees is going to be bigger than 90 degrees in this class. We're definitely not trying to trick you yet at this level. So the angles that also look to be bigger than 90 degrees would be D, which would be 125 degrees, E, which would be 125 degrees, and H, which is 125 degrees. And if it's not 125, it has to be 55. Then you can tell that this is less than 90 degrees, that this angle B here is less than 90 degrees. The angle F is less than a 90-degree angle. So all these are going to be 55 degrees. So if we need more time, go ahead and pause it. So we know that the straight line has 180 degrees, and we also need to know that the sum of the angles inside of a triangle are also 180 degrees, the sum would be. So for this, we're going to need to find it. Sorry, part of this is cut off apparently, but we're going to find the value of x if we've got 3x plus, a is 3x plus 58. And b is 1x. Well, we know that those angles in total are going to add up to be 180 degrees. So we're going to write down that 3x plus 58 plus 1x plus this 90 degrees right here. We know that that third angle is 90 degrees, is going to equal 180, and we just need to solve this. What I would probably do first is combine like terms. So 3x and a positive 1x make 4x, and a positive 58 and a positive 90 make 148. And that's going to equal 180. Now we get rid of the stuff that's on the same side of the letter by not touching it. That's the positive 148. So the opposite or inverse of adding 148 is subtracting 148. We're going to get 4x equals 32. And then we would divide both sides by 4. That's going to give us x equals 8. So go ahead and pause it if you need more time. So for this one, we know that a straight line is also 180 degrees. So for the C, it tells us down here that C is 129. So I'm just going to put that in there, 129. So this is a straight line. So I know that A plus C, or in this case, A plus 129, is going to equal 180. I subtract 129 on both sides. It's going to give us that A is 51. So I can put that value in here. So now to figure out what B is going to be, I know that 51 plus 90 plus B is 180. So now I'm going to combine like terms. 90 and 51 is 141. So 141 plus B equals 180. Subtract 141 on both sides. And B is going to equal 39 degrees. And the last one on here, we have a whole bunch of facts here. We need to find x and y. Well, they tell us that the B is something, 3x plus 16. And they tell us that A is 2y plus 17. So we could write down, and we will write down, that angle A and angle B equals 180. So this means at the moment that 2y plus 17 plus 3x plus 16 equals 180. But we can't do too much with that yet because we have two variables and we don't know what either of them are. We also know that g is 2x plus 29. So probably not the greatest idea to put that in there in yellow. But those angles are the same. Both B and G are both smaller than 90 degrees. Here's angle B. Here's B. You can clearly tell that angle B and angle G are both less than a 90-degree angle. And in this class, if they're not different, they're going to be the same. And if they're the same, we can set them equal to each other. So we can come over here to the side and say that 3x plus 16 equals 2x plus 29. And then we just go about solving this like a normal algebra problem. I like to get my letters to the left side first. So I would subtract 2x on both sides. That's going to give us 1x, or x plus 16 equals 29. Then we would subtract 16 on both sides to get x equals 13. Now we can put this value into the equation at the very top to help us simplify this. So I'm going to put 13 right in there for x. Then I'm going to simplify this. That 3 times 13 is 39. So we're going to have 2y plus 17 plus 39 plus 16 equals 180. Then we combine like terms. 17 plus 39 plus 16 is 72. So we have 2y plus 72 equals 180. Get rid of the stuff that's on the same side of the letter but not touching it. That's the 72. So we subtract 72 on both sides. And that's going to give us 2y equals 108. And we finally divide both sides by 2. That's going to give us y equals 54. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask your math teacher.